Allow me at this juncture to take this prestigious opportunity to introduce one of the distinguished ladies that I've met in my legal career, but most importantly, our first female DPP. I believe that would have previously, before she was a DPP, she worked with the DPP's office for 8 years, beginning in 2007. And she was a trainee state attorney. And she worked her way up to a state attorney rank, a senior state attorney, principal state attorney, assistant DPP, and a senior assistant DPP. Her lordship was a senior assistant DPP and head of the anti-corruption desk in the DPP when she was appointed the High Court judge. She has headed the anti-corruption department in the DPP's office, and she was also serving as a focal point for the East African Association of Anti-Corruption Authorities and Asset Recovery Interagency Network for Eastern Africa, managing quite a number of departments, finances and accounting, to mention but a few. And she has been in charge of general department administration, which included prosecuting high-profile corruption cases, directing police on proper investigations through the use of prosecution-led investigations that not only focused on crime, but also assets recovery and managing all the staffs under her, which includes state attorneys, investigators, and support staff. Our chief guest became a High Court judge and was assigned to the criminal division. She was appointed a judge in charge of sexual gender-based violence cases in the judiciary, and currently, since 2020, was appointed our new Director of Public Prosecution, replacing Justice Mike Chibita, and shall serve to date. Allow me to invite her to come and address us this evening. You're most welcome, my Lord.
Thank you so much, Joyce. I'm going to spend maybe 5 minutes only. Yes, because I don't have much to say. She has already said it all. Actually, when she said she was in the DPP for 8 years, I didn't want to correct her because then you start calculating my age. I was in the DPP for 19 years. Yes. Yes, I did not, 30 years ago, I did not plan to be a lawyer. I don't think even by the time I went to law school, to the university, to Makerere at that time, I don't think even I really knew so much about law. I'd put my first choice as librarianship, and that's what I got. And that's what I was admitted for in Makerere. So I just stumbled into law. I was in librarianship for about two weeks. Yes, I did. I started lectures. And then the students started saying, but you did so well. Why are you doing librarianship? I said, okay, what else can I do? Okay, I put maybe education. They said, no, you can do law. I said, law? It had never crossed my mind. Never. Maybe also because of my background. Also my background, I grew up in Karamoja, studied there most of my education, and you really don't have dreams. You never dream when you're just going from one class to the next, to the next. When you reach P7, if there's someone who will pay your school fees, is when you go to S1. Otherwise, you repeat, just to keep you in school. Because then when you go home, then you're married off. And my mom loved school so much. So somehow, she encouraged us to be there. And I am thinking that I stumbled into law, and I can't believe that it has actually shaped my entire career. It has, as you can see my classmates here, Sylvia, I saw Lydia, you see, and I said I would take 5 minutes, but that's why I write down things, because when I start talking, I get carried away. And yet I know that they're telling me that students who have to eat. So I think with law, it got me when I was already, I could say I already had my hardworking. My mom was so hardworking. And I grew up seeing her so hardworking. And mostly what was she doing? She was just brewing, making the local brew. I also learned that because then we were joining her as we went along. I saw her work so hard day and night, brewing that local brew. It's called Nguli. That's what. And I saw that with hard work, she kept all of us at school. So I knew that if you actually worked hard, you succeed. So that hard work carried me along. Then I stumbled on professionalism. Then I didn't stumble on integrity. I didn't. That is what I've been having ever since I think I started school. And as I stand here, I finished my primary education free. I got into secondary free, from S1 to S6 free. Not free because I got angels without wings. I call them angels without wings. They were along the way. You know, in my primary, I got some Italians whom I've never met in my life. They just took my picture and they loved it, and they said, we are going to pay for this one. The whole school was sponsored anyway. It was not only me. Then I went, then I got another angel without wings in Lira, who paid from S1. Unfortunately, he died a priest. He died in senior 3. So the sisters took me up and paid. Then I stayed I can see Lillian here. Yes, I studied in Aboke for 4 years. The priest paid for me. After my senior 4, I went and looked for another priest to pay for me senior 5 and 6. Then I passed very well, and I went to Makerere. And of course, in my S5 and S6, I met beautiful people like our worship here, Amabilis. And of course, I did very well. I didn't pay in Makerere. Then I did my first master's. Also, I got an angel without wings. I just saw in the papers some, what was it called? A scholarship for this. They're still around, Belgian Technical Corporation, BTC. They paid for me a master's in conflict studies. Then I applied for a second master's in law. I got a scholarship, Ireland. So I've never paid for my education. So I think along the way, opportunities get thrown to us, we take them up, and you really hold on to it. I liked what Anne said, that don't just sit there. Push yourself. And my few remarks, by the way, there are only 2 pages, started with, no one can give us power if we aren't part of the process of taking it. We won't be strong enough to use it. This was said by Gloria Steinem. I think you know her. She's a journalist, but also a feminist, and a very strong advocate of women's rights. So we need to get to the table. We can't wait for them to give us. With profound gratitude, I want to welcome each and every one of you to the launch. 5 years, not so, 2023 to 2027, of FLN. I wish to congratulate the leadership of the Female Lawyers Network for this milestone. It's huge, it's massive, and we have your back. This is not about breaking glass ceilings anymore. I don't call it that anymore. This is about female lawyers getting into positions of authority and putting our stamp onto the future of this wonderful profession. so that when you leave it, you have footprints. You can see Sylvia's footprints, they're there. So big. Dr. Sylvia, thank you so much. We can see Joyce, she had footprints, Anne, every one of us here, and of course, my dear sister. Yes, our CR. We love you so much. You have left huge footprints, and God is still seeing you going ahead. Yes. He's not yet finished with you. He's not. The theme for this event, Women in Law Strategic Empowerment Agenda, Adapting Excellence, Professionalism and Integrity, is particularly well thought out because it encompasses all key elements of what any professional would aspire to attain in a democratic and civilized society. And moreover, that's what we are expected of by the public we serve. We are supposed to be advocates of change. Everyone looks at us, and I want to thank the men in this room and the men at home who are holding us up. Because we have a good number of men, by the way, who hold us up. Yes, and leaders, and I think it was one of the people who actually led me, physically leading me from the, from librarianship. We walked up to the academic registrar because I was fearing. I said, but how do I go and tell them that I want to change, to do law? How? I remember one of the boys held me and said, you come. And we went. Of course, it doesn't matter that he didn't enter with me. He just told me, go inside. So I went in. Yes. Generally, as a society, we are grappling with many issues, including unethical conduct. We have already talked about it. Abuse of human rights, discrimination of all forms, corruption. The list is long. The list is long. For me, as I stand here, I know that I am, at this moment, at this point in time, I have a good number who hate me so much at this point, and a good number also who love me, but I am doing my work, and I shall go on doing my work. Yes. I hold the view that the theme is tailored towards addressing such problems. And as women lawyers, we should aspire towards attaining those values. That is excellence, professionalism, and integrity. These three, by the way, they take you far. I'm speaking from experience. These three values will take you far. And of course, don't forget keeping the faith. It can be the Christian faith, Muslim, but keep the faith. It will take you far. Yes. I have not reached a point, just like my sister here, I'm making 3 years next week as a DPP. And I have not reached a point where I am so stressed that I can't sleep. I have not reached that point yet. No, not even the iron sheets. No, not even. I go home, I sleep. So as women lawyers, we should aspire towards attaining those values, those three, which in turn will position us for leadership, for the betterment of society. Because at the end of the day, we want to have impact. You don't want just to sit in your corner, and you want to have impact. Your worship, you want to have impact. So there are 5 objectives, which I'm not going to repeat. Joyce is going to give us. There are about 6 of them that are highlighted in our strategic plan, and I think they're on point. I strongly believe that these strategic objectives will focus the leadership of FLN towards attaining its goals of eradicating gender inequality, biases in all spaces and sectors in Uganda, and of course beyond. We don't want only to have effect only in Uganda. We want to have effect in Uganda, the region, and beyond. As women lawyers, we should motivate, we should mentor, we should coach fellow women in the practice of law. We must come to the realization that the future of the law as an instrument of justice and fairness lies to a large extent with women. The men forgive me. I want to repeat that. We must come to the realization that the future of the law as an instrument of justice and fairness lies to a large extent with women. I want to encourage you to rise to the challenge of taking up leadership positions, which will enable you build capacity to advocate and influence policies in various sectors aimed at eradicating all forms of discrimination against women. Because if we don't take those positions, if we don't have that opportunity, point in time, I loved it when I was a judge because I had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to do change. And I set out every single day that if I have that opportunity, I must do it. And now I have that opportunity as a DPP. That actually the best part for me is when I go to a prison. And my prosecutors, by the way, they're here. They're here, they're there, yes. We are at 42%, no? In the institution, yes. So, when we go for plea bargain, and the prosecutors bring me files and say, this one, Madam DPP, this one, we should not allow this person to do a plea bargain because there is no evidence. And I love it when I send the person home immediately. That is it. If I don't do anything else, if I do that, that an innocent accused is sent home immediately, not tomorrow, there and then. That is the opportunity that we need to position ourselves in such spaces. No doubt, FLN has joined many other women organizations whose mission is to eradicate gender injustice through engagement and awareness raising with women and girls to promote women's rights, foster good governance, and uphold the rule of law. But we should never forget as women that our roles in a family unit society are fundamental to raising responsible and successful leaders. So let's not be running around in boardrooms only. Let's know that when we go back home, we have also a duty at home to raise. Yes, don't forget that. Because you can never be successful, you can never be a successful lawyer when you are not actually successful at home. You start at home. Because when you actually fall from there, you'll come back home. But if you neglect home and you think your career is the most important, when the career ends, when you come back home, you find everybody has really taken up their own lives. You cannot fit anymore. So don't forget that in essence, our struggles to eradicate injustices against, I thought the men would be saying amen. In essence, our struggles to eradicate injustices against women and girls should be embraced and appreciated by all and should never be seen as a competition. So please, it is never a competition. So with those few remarks, it is with great honor that I want to launch this 5-year plan. Let's pray over it. Let's uphold it. Let's hold Joyce's hand with us, the board members, that these 5 years are going to be, by the end of the 5 years, let's come here and tell successful stories. Yes, and we get it out of the way. Because I know that and just imagine how many years ago, 20 years ago, how many women had law firms? How many women were in the judiciary? Though there's still a problem at the top. We need to go there. We need to go at the top. So thank you all. Thank you for listening. For God and my country. God bless you all. Thank you.